private event. And he's shitting on this group of people for having this event and shitting on Matt for allowing this to happen. So, and his reasoning was that if anybody goes to this wrestling event and sees how terrible this is, and anybody else is running in this business, and use himself as an example, which is funny because he's been banned from that building. So obviously he's not going to be there. But if we ran there and ECWA ran in that building and people saw that really shitty show, they're going to associate that really shitty show with ECWA and they're not going to show up.
Yeah, to me that makes no sense.
It makes no sense because it was a private event. It wasn't open to the public. And there was wrestlers. There was legitimate wrestlers, workers at this event helping out, having fun, kicking back, doing, helping these guys out. These guys aren't going to go home and go, hey, I'm a professional wrestler now. No, they had a great time. Maybe it's a yearly event they want to do. It's no different than having a family reunion. That's basically what it is. It was a private event, a bunch of friends. They paid the building. They paid for the ring. They had whatever they had. So now there's another group that wants to do this that apparently ECWA was trying to get to join their school years ago, and he kept telling them no. So now he's doing a similar event in the same building, and they're shitting all over him and trying to say that this is what's ruining wrestling. Private events apparently is what's ruining wrestling. Not scumbag promoters, not thieves, not people who no-show, not people who go on podcasts and trash other wrestling companies. That's not what's ruining wrestling. It's private events closed to the public.
Yeah, I can't speak for Matt's business plan, but Matt is definitely by far one of the hardest working people in the business. So to attack him on anything, when he's investing. He took over that building, so he's investing in a school and shows and students and fans, and
right.
I don't know how you can knock this guy. I think he's one of the nicest people I've met. I always speak up highly about his customer service at the shows. He's always making sure everybody's happy at the shows. So right. I don't know how you could attack him on anything.
And he runs and owns his own wrestling store. So this guy's life is wrestling. He's been in this a long time. He wrestles everywhere, and it's not like a guy who's whoring himself out to wrestle everywhere. He's a legitimate worker that wrestles everywhere, and he has a great reputation everywhere he goes. So why are you taking pot shots? Is it because you're banned from the building? Is it again jealousy? Because it's just this what it all seems to boil down to is just jealousy. He's just going to shit all over anybody who does something similar to what he's done or he's doing, but they're doing it better.
Yeah, I don't get where promoters come and think like they're the Messiah and they know all and they know what's right and what's wrong. And that's another thing I hate about this business is what makes your opinion superior than anybody else's.
It all boils down to my favorite quote. I've been doing this for fill in the blank amount of years. Honky Tonk Man. I've been doing this for 40 years. All right, so you've been an asshole for 30 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Just because you've been doing something a long time doesn't mean you're good at it.
No,
or the best.
Right. And it also boils down to all the people that I try to explain that just because you're entitled to do something or you have the freedom to do something doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have the freedom and the right to do a lot of shit, but it doesn't make it right for you to do it. So giving me that cop-out of, this company's been running for 51 years. Okay, you haven't been running it for 51 years. And out of those 51 years, how many years have you made money? You could write off whatever you want on your taxes if you have your, air quotes, legitimate business. You can write off whatever you want. But the bottom line is, when you run a show and 45 people show up, and you're asking people to take pay cuts, and your women's champion walks out because you asked her to take a pay cut, and you're trying to make money with customs, and that doesn't even work out, your answer is to go on a podcast that had 27 people listen to it. That number is doubled thanks to me. Okay. And then you
I don't even know how you...
What?
I don't even know how you found it. Nobody can find that damn link.
Oh, dude, I find everything. I could find everything. If you picked your nose in public and got caught, I will find the picture.
Yeah. That's around somewhere.
So, you know, like I said, there's so much more. You know, I have pages of testimonial of stuff that people have sent in from, you know, from champions to the shit that he caused with Eric Martin, to Karen Q, to Diana, to Christina Marie, to these stupid freaking custom things that he attempted to run, to his failed school, canceling shows, Boogeyman, Teddy Hart. I mean, we could go on for another hour, but I'd just be beating a dead horse. So, but my point is, and I'm not shitting on him, you know, just to shit on him. I'm shitting on him because he took it upon himself to shit on other people when he's got so many problems of his own with his own company, but yet thought it was necessary to try to shit on somebody else. Somebody that was successful putting on a convention. Somebody that was successful putting on a show that same day. Someone that took care of everybody in that building. Okay? What? Close to 100 talents that were there? How many talents were there?
Yeah, probably right around 100.
Okay? And you were responsible for almost 30 of them, if I counted correctly.
Yeah, from hotel rooms to flights to transportation to, you know, feeding some of them to, you know, everything. Yeah.
Right. You know, you had the dinner with the stars on Friday. You had the convention on Saturday. You had the show on Saturday night. You had the after party. You know, the commuting, the just the physical exhaustion that you had to go through to get all this done for it to happen. To 1,000 fans showing up to that building to appreciate what you did. And his best comment is to shit on you for rumors and hearsay spread by the people who started it.
Uh-huh.
To shit on fans putting on a private event closed off to the public. And to shit on somebody on how they run their business. And my most favorite thing of all was he said that when venues run too many shows with too many companies in there, it ruins the building. And that is so incorrect. Because there's a building in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey that has about 5 different promotions run. And there's pretty much wrestling in that building every weekend. And they still draw 200 plus fans in that building for every show, for every company.
That's funny too. When I announce I have another venue, that's what everybody gets. That I'm running in Ridgefield Park.
It's just a very nice. It's just a nice, convenient place to run. You know, from the locker rooms. Yeah, it's spacious. It's got great lighting. There's food. You know, there's just a lot. It's just spread out nicely for fans. It's just, and it's very recognizable. So you see pictures, you know it's Ridgefield Park as soon as you look at the picture.
Yeah.
You know, and the people that work there are nice people. They love having the wrestling in there. I'm sure because, you know, a lot of it has to do with they're getting paid, but still, they're nice people. You know, so to use that cop-out of too many people run in the same building, it ruins the venue. No, it doesn't. If you run shitty companies in a building over and over again, it ruins the building. And it only ruins the building because now the next company that goes in there has to do damage control and prove to the entire area, the surrounding area, that this is a different company. Forget about what's happened in the past. Come see us. We'll prove to you that we're better than what's been going on here. Okay? And that's happened in a lot. That's happened just recently in Manville. You know, Synergy Wrestling ran there. There was a lot of problems in the past with other companies that ran there. They didn't want wrestling anymore. And Synergy went there and had to repair the relationship with wrestling. And, you know, they reached out to the public in the area. They did a little fan fest. And they didn't draw great. They drew good. But, again, they set a precedent that if you show up, you're going to get good wrestling entertainment. So,
yep.
What he said has no backing.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with another promoter. Rob is running SWF in Boonton, and that's a hard draw market. Shows again, 10, 12 people, 20 people will show up, but that's what I explained, and it's the same thing for Synergy. You rebuild the market slowly but surely. You get to that 20, you get to that 30, you get to that 40. You just put on good shows, and as the fan base grows, you manipulate your budget.
Right. So I didn't get it. It's just silliness, and it's funny because you named about Boonton. I personally liked the shows that were run in Bayville.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because there's a Roy Rogers on the way there.
Love the Roy Rogers.
Love those Roy Rogers. Love the pickles. So, look, the most overused quote on the face of the earth, it is what it is. Look, the bottom line is that don't go on a podcast and shit on somebody else when you got so many problems of your own that are so public. Those are the public ones. Can you imagine if somebody would have came out of the back and just said, hey, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of information that people don't know? That was just the public. Say that again?
I'm sure all that information is going to come now.
Sooner or later. Who knows? We've done shows like this in the past, and it wound up being a 3-part show over 3 weeks. So, it's happened before. Yeah. I've never had a working relationship with Mike. I've offered him talent a couple of times. He said he didn't want them. And I know it was financial reasons. But I never had a problem with him. And I still don't really have a problem with him. I just have a problem of what you say, how you say it, and your motivation behind saying it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with him either. I don't have a problem with him, and I feel bad for the talent because the talent on his shows aren't bad either. They're good people. Joe Gacy's one of my favorite people on the planet. He's going to be on Standalone, and he's going to wrestle, for the belt in November. And Mike Law, another amazing dude. So there's good people on the shows. So this whole conversation has nothing to do with the talent,
right?
And the other thing, that he said about why is Chad running two different companies? Why wouldn't he just run same company? Multiple shows, whatever the case may be, and he said he's probably using the same roster anyway, which actually that's not the case.
There's going to be a little overlap, but not
right.
Not the whole roster.
Some of the things that you're doing, like you said, can't be done at Standalone, where you advertise as a family-friendly atmosphere. You can't run that kind of crap there. So this is why you're doing Pro Wrestling After Dark. So it's catered more towards the 18 and over, 21, 18 to party, 21 to drink crowd, that kind of, that gimmick that the clubs used to use back in the day. So, as soon as I heard him say that, I was just like, moron. I'm like, just because, you got, 22 people working that night, I'm just throwing that number out there, 22 people working that night, and 6 of them worked for Standalone, doesn't mean that it's the same roster. There is going to be overlap. There's always going to be somebody that worked at one show that worked at another. There's always going to be that guy who's worked for every single show in the tri-state area in the last 30 days, because that's what they do.
Yeah. And listen, one of my ultimate goals, I've talked about this many times, is do a multi-promotional type of events. And whether that includes After Dark, because it's a different theme or not, but, I have plans of, I'm going to have a belt defended on Bellini's Warrior Wrestling. I'm going to have belts defended on, SWF and, other promotions coming forward, who we're going to work with through the tryouts.
And I love that. And I love that. I love cross promotional. You had the You had Steve Off and Aaron Brandley defending their